I think sometimes we get it wrong. We confuse wanting to achieve really big, amazing things with really big, flashy, difficult to do habits. But that's not always the case. Sometimes the biggest, most long-lasting success comes from really tiny, really simple habits. Habits are one of those things that are funny because they don't seem huge and flashy on the offset. They don't initially seem like this big, substantial, crazy thing. But because of the nature of what a habit is, you show up every single day and you repeat the action. You continue to compound based on this tiny thing that you're doing over and over and over again. So sometimes those really small, seemingly insignificant habits can have a profound difference on your life. Today I'm going to take you through 10 habits that are so small they're almost imperceivable. This is not going to be a huge change to your day. It's not going to be a big disruption to your routine. It's going to feel so easy for you to stick these into your already existing habits, but they're going to have a huge difference. While their impact on your routine might be quiet, their impact on your overall life is profound.
Welcome to the Mindset Gym podcast, where we exercise your way of thinking to help unlock your hidden potential. I'm your host, Emily Irwin, a registered nurse and holistic nutritionist with a passion for all things health, fitness, and personal development. All right, let's get into it.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Mindset Gym podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're talking habits today. This is one of my favorite kind of episodes to make, and you'll probably notice I've done quite a few like this, where I give you kind of a list of really tangible, easy to take on things, because I think it's just so nice to get stuff like this in little like bite-sized pieces that you can just take and instantly implement. There's no waiting. You can immediately put these things into action. You can grab what you want from this list and stick it into your already existing routine. And the great thing about what we're talking about today is I'm going to be going over habits that are so quiet and so simple that you almost won't even know you're doing them. It's not going to fuck up your day at all. I'm not here to disrupt whatever the freak it is you got going on. Keep doing it. I'm just going to give you some small things you can stick in alongside it that are going to create a huge difference in the long run. And number one on that list is tracking your expenses. I'm not asking you to make changes to your expenses. I'm not asking you to make any changes to your financial planning. You can continue to do exactly what you're doing right now. The only thing that I want you to do is I want you to keep track of how much you're spending. I'll tell you how I do this, and then you can take it and kind of adapt it to your own routine. So the way that I typically like to handle like spending money day to day is I will use a credit card for that. Not because I'm trying to spend an exuberant amount of money. I'm very mindful of what I'm spending, how much I'm spending. I do that because then I can get points from the card and use it for other things. So the money I'm spending rewards me in some sort of way. So this is why I use my credit card as opposed to a debit card, and it also helps improve my credit score. And then every 2 weeks when I get paid, that credit card gets paid off immediately, in full. We're not hanging on to any debt from your credit cards. The interest is insane. Anyways, this is not a financial episode. I might dive into that in a later episode. But anyways, what I do is every time I use that credit card, I have a little pay planning note in my notes app. And I'll go in and I will keep a running tally of how much I've spent on my credit card. Now, I know you're probably thinking I could just go into the banking app for that card and see all of the transactions. And that's all well and good. If that's how you prefer to do that, then that's okay. But I find the actual act of me having to go into my notes app and keep a running tally makes it a lot more prominent in my mind. I'm much more aware of what I'm spending as opposed to just tapping my card and forgetting about it, because there's this after action that I have to take. The reason I'm asking you to do this is because it's really small. You don't actually have to change your spending habits at all, but it adds an element of awareness. And you having that awareness piece oftentimes can be the gateway to you making better decisions overall. So you tracking your expenses and becoming more aware of how much money you're spending where might actually prompt you to take further action in managing your finances in a more productive and responsible way. Just by tracking them, just by being aware. We can't change what we don't know. Number 2, wake up 30 minutes earlier. Why? Adding 30 minutes may not seem very significant, but it gives you a whole chunk of flex time in the morning for you to add in something productive. Maybe it's getting some exercise in if that's not what you typically do. Maybe it's reading a chapter of a book if that's not what you normally do. Maybe it's just having 30 minutes of peace and quiet before your children wake up so you can be in a better headspace to take on the day with them. Whatever it is, you adding an extra 30 minutes to your existing morning routine gives you a chunk of time that can be dedicated solely to you and your personal growth. Use it how you will. It's not a huge chunk of time. It's nothing drastic. You don't have to, kick your alarm back a crazy amount of time that's going to feel like it's really disrupting your sleep pattern. But it just gives you that little bit of extra time for yourself. What you do with it is up to you. Number 3, drink 1 cup of water as soon as you wake up. Now, I've talked in a couple previous episodes about the importance of delaying your caffeine intake when you first wake up and staying hydrated throughout the day. And you drinking a glass of water as soon as you wake up accomplishes a couple of things. First of all, it kicks off your metabolism, kind of wakes up your brain, gets rid of some of that fatigue and grogginess first thing in the morning. So you're going to feel a lot more energized and a lot more ready to take on the day. Number 2 is it indirectly delays that caffeine intake because you can't simultaneously be drinking a cup of water and a cup of coffee. I guess you technically can if you're going around double fisting them in the morning, but let's just say for argument's sake, you're not doing that. So please drink your water first. And number 3, it gets the ball rolling on you staying hydrated throughout the day. You staying properly hydrated is just such an underrated thing for your overall health and just how you feel during the day. I think sometimes we forget how much of our wellness and energy and well-being during the day comes from being properly hydrated, and things that we may not realize are because we haven't drank enough water, like fatigue throughout the day or headaches or mood swings, can be directly correlated to how much water you're drinking. So you getting the ball rolling super early in the morning, gonna make it a lot easier for you to stay on top of that. Number 4, if it takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. Whatever it is, whatever you are wanting to do, maybe it's cleaning up the dirty dishes that are sitting in the sink, maybe it's picking up the toys that are on the floor, maybe it's sending that email that's been on your mind for a couple of days, maybe it's sending that text to somebody that you've been putting off. If it takes less than 2 minutes, just do it now. Because it's simple, it's easy, the barrier to entry is actually pretty low. All you have to do is commit to this action for 2 minutes. And it eliminates some of that mental load because all of these small little tasks that in and of themselves are not that major, they don't take a whole lot of time, you're carrying them around in your head and adding extra weight to your mental load of all the things you need to do. Take 2 minutes and take some of that off your plate. And you can adapt this as well. If there is a task that is maybe a little larger than 2 minutes, allow yourself to just dedicate 2 minutes to it. So let's say, for example, you have a whole sink full of dirty dishes and it's going to take you more than 2 minutes to do all of the dishes that are there. Set a 2-minute timer and just do what you can. It just gives you that little bit of edge. You get a little bit ahead. There's a little bit less on your plate. And it only takes 2 minutes. It's super easy. Number 5, eat your protein first. This is such a game changer, especially if you are trying to lose weight, because protein is the most satiating of all the macronutrients, meaning of all the macronutrients, so protein, carbs, and fat, protein is going to make you feel fuller faster. So with less calories, you're going to feel more full. And on top of this, protein is something that so many of us are probably royally under-eating. It has such an important role in your overall health. It is what is going to help with building and preserving muscle mass, which indirectly will help with building and preserving bone density. It's going to help with blood sugar regulation and keeping your energy stable throughout the day. There is so many benefits to you eating enough protein, it's insane. And the truth is, it's actually kind of difficult to eat enough protein. And so if you make an effort to eat it first, you're getting that chunk of your protein intake out of the way. And because you ate the most satiating thing first, you're going to feel full sooner while consuming less calories. And this gives you a way to control your caloric intake in a way without having to be super restrictive. Because you don't have to say, oh, I can't eat these things. I can't have this and that. You can have them. Eat them. Just eat your protein first. The thing that's probably going to happen is you're going to eat your protein and you're going to be pretty full. And then you're going to end up eating less of these other things if you choose to eat them. So in terms of dietary changes for weight loss, it's such a simple thing that doesn't make a huge difference. It doesn't feel super restrictive. It doesn't feel like you're missing out on anything, but it makes a profound difference in terms of the overall caloric amount that you're consuming in a day. And you don't even notice it, which is amazing because habits that you don't notice, habits that are so small they're imperceivable, are going to be way easier to maintain over the long term, which means if you're trying to lose weight, you maintaining that weight loss over the long term, way easier to do. Because it doesn't feel like you're grinding, it doesn't feel like you're white knuckling. You're doing just small little tweaks that are so simple they're imperceivable. Number 6, list one thing that you're grateful for every day. This could be in a journal, this could be just saying it out loud, this could be just thinking it in your head, this could be opening the notes app on your phone and just writing it down. Just one thing. Bonus points if you can do this first thing in the morning. And the reason I want you to do this is because this prompts your brain to start thinking in that way. You start seeking out good things. You start seeking out things to be grateful for. And it just puts you on this much more positive thinking trajectory that is going to make your day much more enjoyable to move through. If you start your day doing something like this, your brain recognizes, oh, okay, we're looking for things to be grateful for. This is what my human wants me to focus on. And so it's going to keep seeking out things to be grateful for, and you're going to start seeing your world through that lens. And it's such a lovely way to spin how you look at your reality, because you're constantly looking for all these little amazing things and all these little moments that you have to be grateful for. And I've heard other people in the past talk about, the fact that you can't be simultaneously grateful and anxious. And so if you're dealing with a lot of really, low or anxiety-filled kind of thoughts, adopting a really simple gratitude practice can be a really effective way to combat those ways of thinking and put you in a much better state of mind. And it's really simple. It doesn't take a lot of time. It doesn't take a lot of effort. I just want you to list one thing. You don't have to go on a whole rant about everything in your life you're grateful for. Just pick one. And just make that your daily practice, because that is where the magic is. The magic is in you doing this day after day after day. It's not in you writing a novel one day and then never doing this practice again. Your ability to keep up with it long term is what is going to make the biggest difference. And so what can you do on your worst day? What is the minimum barrier to entry? One thing. Just pick one. Number 7. Spend 5 to 10 minutes a day learning something. And this could look very different. This could be reading a book. This could be listening to an audiobook. This could be listening to a podcast. This could be watching a YouTube video. This could be reading something on Substack. It doesn't matter how you obtain the information. I don't care. Whatever is easiest for you to take in and digest. Just spend 5 to 10 minutes a day learning something. And it can be anything. You could be learning about human psychology and how to be a better person. You could be learning about how to make pottery. You could be learning a new recipe. You could be learning about the history of Christmas trees. I don't care. I literally don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be something that is directly applicable to things in your life. Just whatever interests you. The reason for this is 5 to 10 minutes is not a huge chunk of time. Again, not a big barrier to entry, but it gives you a little bit of knowledge. It gives you a little bit of something new that you didn't have before. And over time, you continuing to do that compounds. You getting 5 to 10 minutes of knowledge every single day, that translates into up to 3,650 minutes of knowledge over the course of a year. You can learn a lot in that time. And this kind of goes with that notion of like getting 1% better every single day. It doesn't seem like a whole lot in the moment. It doesn't seem like a huge difference, but someone who gets 1% smarter every single day is around 37 times smarter by the end of the year. That little small incremental change compounds over time and ends up having a really profound difference. So that 5 to 10 minutes over the course of 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, you've increased your overall knowledge substantially. And some of the things that you've learned, things that may seem really abstract and inapplicable to anything in your life, might indirectly end up teaching you something really valuable for something that is applicable to your life. You never know where the knowledge that you learn is going to be useful in your day-to-day life. So collect knowledge any opportunity you get. This is something I have been doing for years now. I have a minimum daily requirement of 5 minutes of a podcast or an audiobook because these are my preferred ways of, taking in knowledge. If I decide to do more than 5 to 10 minutes, amazing, that's awesome, but I don't have to. 5 to 10 is the minimum barrier to entry, so even on days when I'm really, really busy, it's still doable for me to do 5 minutes. It's not a huge interruption to my day. I still have a way of fitting it in. Number 8, whenever possible, take the stairs or park further away. This is something I want you to do because again, not a huge deal. You taking the stairs a couple of floors if you need to, not a huge deal. You parking at the farther end of the parking lot instead of right next to the door, not a huge deal. Doesn't seem like a whole lot in the moment, but what you're doing is you are subtly increasing your overall daily activity. And you doing this increases what is called your NEAT activity. NEAT activity refers to non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So this is calories burned from activity that is not traditional exercise. So this could be calories burned from walking across the parking lot, from taking the extra flight of stairs, from walking around a store when you're doing your grocery shopping, from walking from your office to the bathroom. Any little amount of exercise and calorie burn that is not as a result of a kind of formal traditional workout is NEAT activity. And NEAT activity is one of those things that is often overlooked, but it contributes hugely to your overall calorie burn throughout the day. Sometimes hundreds of calories just from these kind of seemingly nothing little activities. So you choosing to take the stairs or parking a little bit further away is one of those subtle, quiet, almost imperceptible ways that you increase your activity and your overall daily caloric burn, which makes things like weight management, blood sugar regulation, cardiovascular health, all of those things get a little better over time as a result of you adding this tiny little bit of activity in. And it doesn't require any sort of structured workout. Number 9, plan your hardest tasks first thing in the morning. The reason for this is your motivation is the highest early in the morning when you have first woken up. So if there are tasks on your to-do list that there's a lot of friction for you to overcome in order to do them, the barrier to entry feels really high, get them out of the way first thing in the morning. First of all, it's going to be easier for you to tackle it because your motivation is the highest. And second of all, everything you do after that is going to feel so much easier because this really hard thing is already off your plate. You kind of have this mindset, if I was able to start my day by tackling this really hard thing, all of this other stuff is a cakewalk. The final thing I want you to do is, at the end of the day, I want you to ask yourself this question. What went well today? And this is a practice that I have heard talked about by brain health expert Dr. Daniel Amen. And this is a practice that he incorporates into his evening routine every single day. And this kind of goes on a similar vein of saying one thing a day that you're grateful for. It trains your brain to seek out what went well. It trains your brain to shift your outlook and your mindset about the day to pick out all of the really good things instead of ruminating about something really bad. And so you get to end your day on this really lovely, really positive note of like, oh, this thing actually went really well today. And that gets to be the frame of mind that you see your day through. And it also kickstarts your sleep time routine on a positive note. So you're less likely to be rolling around, tossing and turning in bed with anxiety and negative thoughts throughout the day because you've kind of made a point to punctuate your day with this positive frame of reference. So those are the 10 that I have for you today. The goal of these is that they are so small, they're almost imperceptible. And so not a single one of these habits on their own seems very major. It's not a crazy thing. I'm not asking you to devote big chunks of time out of your day or uphaul the routine that you currently have. Just try sticking these small habits in here and there and see how you feel. See what kind of impact it has over the long term, because although those habits are really small on their own, they have a huge, huge difference when compounded over time. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.
Hey, thanks for listening to the show. If you liked the episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a review, or share the show with a friend. Your support helps this show reach even more incredible people just like you. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time at the Mindset Gym.